I went to my first job interview in 5 months. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Josh. This is a channel where I hold myself accountable by posting every single day. And yeah, so yes, I went to my first job interview in 5 months. You know, I've gotten many interviews, but all of them have been online. So this was my first one in person since my last job. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it went so well. It was just a bad day to begin with. I don't drive right now, so I have to take the bus to go certain places. And what I usually do when I take the bus is I buy the bus pass on my phone, right? So earlier that day, my mom tells me to go pay the phone bill because you have to go in person for some reason. And I said, oh, can't you just pay it online? She said, no, you have to go in person. And because I was already doing something for her, I had denied it, not knowing that it was gonna cost me. So like an hour later, I have to leave to go to the job interview. So when I go walk to the bus stop, right? And then when I get there, I'm just waiting for the bus, not knowing that my phone service was gonna be a problem for me not being able to open the bus pass. So after like 20 minutes, the bus already comes up. And then I click on open bus pass. And when I click on open bus pass, it starts loading. It loads and loads and loads. And I'm like, the bus is right there waiting for me to do something. And I just tell them to go ahead because it was loading. And at that moment, I already knew I messed up by not going to pay the phone bill earlier. So I had to walk all the way back home. I told my mom, like, hey, I couldn't get on the bus because the phone bill isn't paid and I couldn't open the bus pass. And she just gave me that mother look like, I told you so. I told you to go pay it, and I was being just, So that right there already made me late. So my first impression to them is that I'm gonna be late all the time. I come into an interview and I'm already late. So how are they gonna rely on me when I actually come to work? So whatever. My mom goes and pays the phone bill. And I didn't have cash on me, so I couldn't even just, oh, here's some cash. I had to do it through the phone. So she goes and pays the phone bill, and I take the bus, and I'm there like 20 minutes late. And when I go in, I'm like, hey, I'm here for an interview. Do you know where I would go to for that? And it happens to be that the first person I talked to is the manager. I just thought I was a regular employee, but it was the manager. So I told her that, and she was like, you're Josh, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm Josh. And she said, got caught in traffic. She gave me the meanest manager look ever. And I was like, no, long story. Because, I didn't want to lie and stuff. But, yeah. So then she was like, okay, well, let's go do the interview. So we go into the office to do the interview, and she's asking me all these questions, and I'm acting a little nervous because naturally I am a nervous kind of guy. And one of the questions she asked me was, are you comfortable with doing register? Because I showed her my resume and everything has to do with back of the house type of jobs. Like I usually work in the back. I've worked at a warehouse, jobs like that. So she asked me, are you comfortable working register? And I was like, I'm gonna be so honest with you. I'm not very comfortable just because I am a shy person and I get really nervous up there, especially with a lot of people. And then she's like, well, being on the register is mandatory, especially if you're new, and you have to learn it just in case somebody calls out and you need to back them up. Everybody in the store needs to know how to do register. Even if that's not your position, you should at least know how to do it. So then after that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm willing to learn. and she's like, oh, okay. Because everything I'm saying, she's writing down. Every question she's asked, obviously, she needs to see and stuff. But she's writing everything down. And then when I said I'm not comfortable, she wrote that I'm not comfortable. So I think that was a mistake on my end. That's already a red flag. And then another question popped up, and she said this. She said, now this question doesn't have to do with work. What would you, as a person, like to improve on? And right there, I remembered my first video. I was like, well, actually, something I'm really honestly trying to improve on is holding myself accountable and being a man of my word. And she said, oh, okay, that's very good that you're honest about that. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm in the process of working on it. And then she hit me with so if that's outside of work, how would that translate into work? I was like, oh no. And then she was like, because, if you're not a man of your word outside of work, how are you a man of your word inside of work? Let's say I asked a task of you and you can't get it done, and you said you were gonna get it done. And I told her that I've never had that problem at work. I usually just do it. And then she was like, okay. Well, I get that because, I kind of treat work as like, okay, it must get done, and then outside. But then she said, but little piece of advice, just because I'm an older woman, I know a lot of things, but just how you would treat work, meaning like certain things that you just do just because it's work, you should also treat in the outside life. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I shouldn't just be saying like, oh, it's work, I have to do it. Okay, it's outside life, you have to do this too. You want to better yourself, you have to do it. You want to be better with people, you have to do it. You want to be better in your relationship, get to doing it. And that had me thinking right there. That had me thinking. And I was like, wow, that's, yeah, you're right. Yeah, she just asked me if I have any questions for her. And I just asked her if the place is a good environment to work at. And obviously she's going to say yes, because she's the manager there. She wants people. She's not going to say no. But she gave this really long backstory of how it had to have some work to get there. And I was like, all I could think about was like, that actually also can translate into outside of work life, things take work. You take work. Also, when you're in a relationship, it takes work to even get to this point right here. It takes all of this, boom, and then you're right there. Also with your life, as an individual, you want to better yourself. It takes work. You can't just do it in one day. If it was in one day, everybody would be doing it, but not everybody's doing it. That whole interview was kind of like a lesson in a way. And I was like, okay. And when I had applied, it didn't really say the job, like if it was full-time or part-time, or, how long is it? And so I asked that, and she said the pay, and the pay was really it was really low. But, for someone who hasn't had a job in a while, you take whatever, and then you just get another job as you're in that job in the meantime, so you can accumulate some income, But she said the pay was really low, and then she just said it was part-time. That kind of threw me off a little bit, but again, like I said, you gotta get what you can get until you can get what you want. So at that point, I was accepting it. And then the last thing that threw me off was she had said it was seasonal. She basically said, after December, you're cooked. You're a chili bean. You're out of here. And I was like, wow. Either way, they never called back. That interview was a week ago, and she said she'd make her decision by the end of the week, last week. So I don't think I got the job, but good news is there's another one on Friday. I have another interview. I'll let you guys know how that goes, and may the Lord provide me with a good job sometime soon. Like I said before, I'm not in a rush to get a job. I'm enjoying this unemployed life right now. Not money-wise, but in other ways I am. I don't think that interview went well. We'll just have to keep going. But I think that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little yap session. And yeah, I hope you guys are keeping up with yourselves and, praising the Lord every single day. I love you. God loves you. Peace out.